Since I watched The Goldfinch the other day, I've been kind of on a kick for movies that I've never seen or just seem interesting or that I have seen and I really like. I've watched four so far, starting with The Goldfinch. Um, and so I was writing and I was doing shit as I did it. So I kind of wrote along to during and after what I thought of it. So after The Goldfinch, I watched the movie Beautiful Boy, and I found it to be kind of an incredible film. Steve Carell really nailed his role as the concerned father. And it's interesting because I've never seen Steve Carell in a really serious role. Like I'm used to Michael Scott. I'm used to Gru. I'm used to what's the fucking spy movie he did? Get Smart, that one. Um, I'm used to idiot Steve Carell. This was intellectually concerned Steve Carell, and it was really interesting to see. And because essentially, Steve Carell plays the father of Timothy Chalamet's character, who is I guess he's an addict. And it's very interesting to see how and it's I'll just read what I wrote. And though I've never though I've personally only done up to mushrooms, I can somewhat understand it on a personal level with my propensity for THC, even though such is barely comparable to the drugs Chalamet's character is portrayed as addicted to. Like crystal meth and all that shit. I have friends that are meth heads. My two homeless friends are meth heads, though they're 3 weeks sober now, so we'll see. Though this movie does make me believe that they're never going to get sober. I don't think they're going to get sober unless they get a house. But even then, it's like, I have doubts because I know them. But it is producing genuine emotion on my end. And more movies seem to do that now. And it's rather interesting. Because I didn't used to have emotion evoked with movies aside maybe a smile or a laugh. And not having the sensitive aspect of mirror neurons firing is rather fascinating. And I can't say I don't enjoy it, even if simultaneously, I want to get super stoned and put on some music. But, when the time is right, and not today or tonight. After that, I proceeded to put on the movie SLC Punk, which I had never seen before. And frankly, SLC Punk is okay. It's not the greatest movie in my opinion. It's about what I expected. But it is nihilistic in mundane extremes in film form. And I do like some bits of it. I like the bit as the main character, Chris, says, "Fuck everything, even anarchy," as such starts to sort of collapse on his inner world. It's a case of what I would call personally neurotic nihilism, or what Trevor Blake of Underworld Amusements would call a failed egoist. However, differing from the neurotic nihilist himself, me, his projection outward is not akin. It's more aggressive. It's a pointless punk for a poetic synonym. A rebel without applause or even personal practicality. And seemingly, with his statement of "fuck everything, even anarchy," he realizes the evolution of his entity and confusion about the state of his livelihood. And then towards the end, he meets a girl named Brandy, and they have a bit of dialogue that is really good, and it echoes John Lydon in an interview. But I'll read the dialogue first. Quote, "Wouldn't it be more of an act of rebellion if you didn't spend so much time buying blue hair dye and going out to get punky clothes? It seems so petty. You can be you want to be an individual, right? You look like you're wearing a uniform. You look like a punk. That's not rebellion, that's fashion." Chris responded, then, "What is rebellion?" Then Brandy answers, "Rebellion happens in the mind. You can't create it. You just are that way." And so it echoes John Lydon with a hint of Charlie Manson, and which I would say I think John Lydon has more power to him in saying this, given who he was and is. He was Johnny fucking Rotten, Sex Pistols. You know, which, you know, spawned from the fetishistic fashion designs of Vivienne Westwood and Malcolm McLaren's wet dreams of, you know, being Mick Jagger himself. And explaining his own point of separation from the punk movement, John Lydon posited once, "Punk became like fascist. It has to be this way or else." And in simple saying, as prisons are in the mind, so is much of every experience. And towards the end, even, you know, his best friend overdoses. You know, and sort of there's the point of divergence. You know, in the final scene, he's shown as, you know, Chris is shown as having shaved his head of the blue hair and evolving. He's evolving. And so then from there, on the flip of that movie, it's kind of actually a logical conclusion of sorts. This is one I've seen before, and I've seen dozens of times over the years. It's called Ordinary World. It came out about exactly a decade ago. It stars Billy Joe Armstrong playing a character named Perry Miller, who goes through a bit of a midlife crisis the day before his birthday, but he thinks it's his birthday. So he thinks it's his birthday, but because of that, everyone isn't treating him like it's his birthday, which is the next day. So he thinks it's his birthday and kind of is going through a bit of a midlife crisis because Perry Miller, his character, basically just, you know, he's wandering aimlessly. Like, yeah, he has a family and kids, but you know, he wants more. You know, like he wants the fun of being in the band he was in and stuff again. And I guess it's envy. I guess his character is a case of extreme envy because, I mean, if it wasn't for him knowing the cop from, you know, dropping his kid off at school, he would have been fucking fucked from that, thanks to Rupert, played by the same guy who played Kevin Malone in The Office. But overall, it's a really fucking good movie. And that's not just because Billy Joe Armstrong is in it, and I'm a big fan of Green Day. I mean, that's initially why I watched the movie years ago. But it is a really good movie, and I like it. Because it's and I say it's similar. It's sort of a logical conclusion to SLC Punk because there is that hint of shift at the end. Like, they get into the car on his birthday finally, and his daughter is like, "Can we play your band? I want to hear Devil's Kind," which was released after the fact as a song by Billy Joe Armstrong's band The Long Shot. I have their one and only vinyl record right there, which features a really good cover of Goodbye to Romance as the closing track. But that's... what's important is the movie. Anyway, I mean, it's a really good movie. All the movies I've been watching lately are really good. I have impeccable taste in movies, and I have a good nose to sniff out good things to watch. So, you know, and yeah, just random movies I've been watching and some rambles on them. I don't know.